find the money.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. I'm here today to bring you my review for the 2021 action film Castle Falls. The film is directed by Dolph Lundgren, who also stars in the film along with Scott Adkins. Now this film focuses on these two characters played by Lundgren and Adkins. Adkins' character is called Mike, who is an ex-mixed martial artist. He's had a number of fights, but basically he's got to the end of his career. He's looking for work and he gets given a job for the last couple of days on a demolition. Basically the building is being demolished in a couple of days and his job is to go in with everybody else and clear the place out before the whole place is blown up. Dolph Lundgren's character plays Erickson, who is a prison guard who learns from an inmate that there is some money being stored in this building due to be demolished, and Dolph Lundgren needs this money desperately because his daughter is dying from cancer and he doesn't have the medical insurance to pay for it. So while he's working within this building, the Scott Adkins character discovers this money and then on the day of the demolition goes back to try and recover it. However, on that very same day, Dolph Lundgren turns up to try and get the money for his daughter's treatment, but also a bunch of criminals are also tipped off that this money may well be in the building and they intend to get it as well. So they all converge at the same time on this building that is due to be demolished very, very shortly, and can they get the money and get out safely? Right, what are my thoughts on Castle Falls? Well, quite a decent story here, I think, with this one. Even though it's fairly unbelievable. It's one of those films that if you overanalyze it, if you see it, you'll kind of discover the problems fairly quickly. You know, this building's been left abandoned for a long, long time. There have been people that have known that this money's in the building and they just decide to kind of cough up this information at the day that the building is going to be demolished. Now, it makes for a good film. Yes, I understand that. The fact that there's a time on this building being blown up and everyone has to get out there before the whole place is demolished, but it doesn't make a lot of sense in real terms, in reality. But, you know, you can let these things slide with an action film. Scott Adkins here and Dolph Lundgren actually make a pretty good team. I'm not actually sure if they've been in films before. I'm sure they have. Maybe the Universal Soldier stuff. I know Scott Adkins has done a couple of them, or at least one of them, but I'm sure they have teamed up before in movies. But they actually make a pretty good pairing here. They're both there for their own reasons. The Scott Adkins character is actually fairly relatable and fairly likeable. His character, down on his luck, mixed martial artist that's, you know, just looking for something in his life to kind of set him on his next path, sort of thing. And the Dolph Lundgren character you can really relate to because he's got a poorly daughter and he's trying to do the right thing by her in regards to him being in the building. So their dynamic is interesting, and I enjoyed them two on screen together. It made for interesting watching. What didn't really work for me here was, again, we've got the generic tick box bad guys here. These group of bad guys who turn up to try and claim the money for themselves. It's the same kind of crew you've seen over and over again in movies. You've got the, you know, the lead thug that's leading everybody, and then you've got the, you know, the love interest for him, you know, the ex-stripper, and then these other gun-toting, fairly brainless bad guys just wandering about aimlessly with very little plan, getting taken out one at a time by Dolph Lundgren and Scott Adkins. They just, you know, didn't really add an awful lot to the film, really. But for a film that stars Scott Adkins and Dolph Lundgren, you would expect the action scenes to really spark, and they do. Very, very nicely put together. Obviously, Dolph Lundgren's a very, very talented martial artist, and we know Scott Adkins is as well. And they both, not only, obviously Dolph Lundgren directed it, but they were both producers as well. So they were both very, very influential in regards to the fight choreography you would expect. And it shows. You know, it's really gritty, it's pretty good, it's brutal, and every time the action scenes are on, they're entertaining to watch and they're a highlight of the film. But what I'm saying here is that it doesn't give you much else, really, this film, which is a bit of a shame. It just falls short in regards of being like really, really interesting in regards to its story and things, and it just failed to elevate itself to that next level, I think. But it's a decent effort, I have to say. I mean, Scott Adkins is always watchable. Generally speaking, he churns out pretty watchable action films. He's only done a couple of duds, I would say, in the last 2 or 3 years. So he's always very, very reliable. And Dolph Lundgren, I think, has improved dramatically as an actor. You would think at his age he is now, you would assume that, but it's not always the case, and he really, really has. There's a couple of scenes where he has to show some real emotion here in regards to his daughter and things like that, and I think he does a really good job, if I'm honest. And as a director, I don't think I've ever seen Dolph Lundgren film that he's directed before. This could be his first film that he's directed. I've not really looked into it. But I think he does a decent job. It's very, very clear that he knows what he's doing in regards to the action scenes and things like that. He's spent his whole career doing them. And I'm just looking now on his DP page, and it says that he's directed 9 things. So he's obviously directed before. But I think he does a pretty decent job here. So what I'm saying is you've got a above average action film here that will certainly entertain you. It's nice to see Scott Adkins and Dolph Lundgren teaming up on a film. And it's all very watchable and very, very competent too. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. Pretty watchable stuff, nice action scenes, and definitely fans of these 2 actors won't probably be disappointed. So thank you very much for watching. I'll be back with plenty more reviews and content on the channel very, very soon.